Hey guys, so this is the February 2023 live stream. Looks my lights are way too bright. There we go. So this is also sort of a makeup live stream for January. Um, there were very few people on. It was short notice, and a lot of people said they were headed home from work. So we're back to Sundays for now. This is working for me for now. I know this is the best day for everyone else, so hopefully this works out. So I see 5 people are here, and I saw Max commenting. I'm still bringing up my screen over here so I can see everyone in the chat. But yeah, basically we haven't had one of these since last year, since late December, before New Year's. So we got a couple months of stuff to catch up on. So while I'm getting my screen up over here so I can see your comments in the chat, go ahead and put any questions you have in the chat itself. I forgot to set this up beforehand. So anyway, guys, yeah, the question said they were driving, couldn't ask questions. And I think that, some people, they weren't able to make it. I know they mentioned it was too late or something like that, but hey, so we got a ton of people coming on. I'm still bringing up the chat. I can see the comment pop up for just a split second on my phone screen that I'm recording on. But I've got my laptop over here. Once I get the chat brought up here, I'll respond to everybody, and we'll get the conversation started. Looks like we got some good numbers. Thank you for whoever just liked it. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this is basically a makeup for that. Well, obviously we're doing it for February, but it's going to be a makeup for January too. So we'll get caught up with everything that's happened in January and February both. There's been a lot, so we'll see. Okay, it's almost loaded here. One of these days, I'm gonna get a computer that's new enough to run decently. I'm using like an outdated version of Chrome that doesn't even update anymore. The computer's 11 years old, and like all the software that I run on it is like older versions. I think I'm still running El Capitan, if you know iOS, just because it's like the highest one that it can be upgraded to. Okay, that's fine. As soon as I got in here, it's just inundated me with these like updates that YouTube's made. So I was like, hey, can I do my stream instead of you putting all these notifications in front of me? Okay, so I think I got the chat up here now. I hope these are in order. Actually, let me just reorder this. I just noticed it's on top chat rather than like chronological. Yeah, all live chat, all messages are visible. Because I don't know how it selects what the top chats are, and I just don't want to miss anybody. So let's see. Almost there. I feel like I'm missing the first comment, and if I am, let me know. But the first comment I see here is about "We who are about to die salute you." It looks like a comment he might have posted before the stream started. It says Sheets. Oh my God, they have the atomic blue, whatever you call it, Mountain Dew that I still have yet to try. Yeah, so I took that. I was working in Columbus yesterday for TaskRabbit. That particular Sheets is the Sheets in New Albany. It just opened last year, and I stopped there after the task that I did, and I remembered that I had not scheduled the live stream, and I remember somebody saying that that was part of why they weren't able to join last week, is that I'd put it up on such short notice. Still short notice to put it up the day before, but I wanted to not let it go any longer. So I was literally just sitting in the Sheetz parking lot to take that. And yeah, and the Atomic Blue, after you mentioned that in a stream, I looked at it. I still haven't tried it because they don't have like a diet version, and I don't like to have a lot of sugar, and that's like, even if I get a small size, that's a lot of sugar. But I do like trying the different flavors of Mountain Dew, so I probably will try it eventually. Speaking of new flavors of pop that's out, I've noticed a couple things here in just the last couple days. Pepsi has a Peeps flavor now. I've not tried it, but Walmart has it. And Coke, you know how like last year they came out with like a space flavor, and then like there was the one from Marshmallow that was in a can. They have one now called like Transformation flavor. I tried it. I could not tell you what it tastes like. It has like a dark flavor, but you know, I don't know. I try to try just one of them as they come out, and there's like one other one too. And I'm sorry for my roommate screaming in the background. There's nothing I can do about that. Um, but like I I don't know what else that's gonna bother me. There's like a third different kind of pop that's come out recently that's just like a variation flavor. Um, okay, so turn the heat off. The light's making it hot. Max says, "Oh hell yeah, yeah." Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Um, oh, we've got two Maxes in the chat today. Okay, so AJ, hi Mark. You were looking refreshed. Well, thank you. You know, it's weird because like I definitely do feel a little bit better about some of the things that have been bothering me. I still have a lot of things weighing me down. Um, so I wouldn't say like I'm in like a good place, but I've at least made some progress on some things. Um, so thank you for noticing. Yeah, I know you guys kind of find it boring when I'm down and depressed all the time, and I don't like being like that. But you know, got to make my life situation better so that I don't have to be that way. And since things have gotten a little bit better, I guess that's why I feel a little bit better. Um, Max Altamimi, tell me if I pronounced that right. Says hi. Hi there. Have you been on a live stream before? I'm not sure if you have been. I recognize most of the names that come in here. We Who Are About to Die salute you. I got back just as you shut January live stream. Yeah, I think somebody else told me that too, that they were driving home. So I can't remember what the conflict was with having it on a Monday rather than a Sunday last month. But there was something going on. And then like what I'm gonna do. Okay, I know I just said I was being positive. I'm gonna be negative for a moment, and then I'm gonna go back. The second that I started this live stream, roommates are screaming. Downstairs, they're running the garbage disposal, banging pots. Like, it's just, they wait until I get on here and then they do the most annoying stuff possible. We'll talk about that more later. Okay, so, but yeah, We Who Are About to Die salute you. That's the story I got a lot from the January live stream. But we've got a lot of people on here already. There's more notifications that roll out the longer we stay on. So that's cool. Like, I think that's, we're going to have a good crowd today. So Max says, any thoughts on Ellie Goulding? So I think that's a singer. And I figure if I heard one of the songs, I would probably know it, like from the radio or something. But I don't really know anything about her. It is a girl, right? Like, tell me about that. I really don't know. I am like the worst people. Like with celebrities, I'm the worst. I don't know who they are, and like if I was ever, anywhere, like I guess like LA where there's a lot of celebrities, I would have no idea if I saw any of them because I don't know what they look like. Um, so Case slash Left Shark says, heard the recent about a woman who sued Marilyn Manson, turned out to be lying, and claimed she was pressured to lie by Manson's ex-girlfriend, Evan Rachel Wood. Yeah, I don't know that much about that case. I remember during the Johnny Depp trial back in like, I think it was April, May, and June of last year. Um, the I remember people at the same time talking about how the case compared to the Marilyn Manson case. And I knew that it had something to do with accusations, but I never looked into it enough to like really know what was going on there. Um, I didn't realize that it was like another set of false accusations. But yeah, I mean, what Johnny has done, and I mean, I guess I was already fighting for myself while his trial was going on, but that certainly emboldened me to continue fighting, um, and to maybe change the public concept a little bit about men being victims of this kind of stuff, not just of domestic violence, but of false accusations. That I can't tangibly put my finger on it, but I do think that it probably has helped. Um, I went from two judges in a row who just absolutely would not would not hear anything and would not do what they were supposed to do to the suit I have now, where I just keep winning every motion, every order, um, and so is that difference that a year has passed and people have Johnny Depp on their mind? I don't know. Um, but I do think that it has changed things somewhat. I can tell you that the local domestic violence shelter here started helping men this year. Well, 2022, but they didn't before that. And now after Johnny Depp, they do. Um, so that's all I really know about that case. Um, we Who Are About to Die Salute You says Pepsi Peeps is not bad. So where did you find it? Because I haven't actually found it yet. I saw it when I was at Walmart. One of the workers had it for themselves, like on their cart, and I saw it sitting there. But I didn't. I didn't actually see it in any of the coolers at Walmart, so I don't know where you buy it. Yeah, yeah, Coca-Cola marshmallow, and I don't remember what that tasted like at all. Um, and Dream World, which I think tasted like jackfruit, um, which is the flavoring for juicy fruit. Um, I tried it once, I think. It was just, even though I had like the diet version, it was way too sweet for me. Um, it's kind of weird to think you have too much of an artificial sweetener, but that's what it seemed like. AJ says, I can't stay for the whole live stream, but I'm really glad you are starting to feel better and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Keep moving forward. Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, this is a long time coming. I've really kind of been drugged through the mud, and while I'm just at the very start of kind of getting my shit together, I am I am a little bit. And I think I'll be able to elaborate more on that when I make a video for you guys. We'll kind of talk more about the coming videos. I had meant in February to have my 2023 goals video out because I did the wrap up of the 2022 goals in January, and I thought I could try to have one big video out a month other than the live stream. Um, but I didn't get to it. I'm going to be filming it this coming week, but it probably won't be up and edited and all that until like the first week of March or so. But when I go into that for my goals for 2023, I can talk more about what I want to accomplish this year, as far as getting back on my feet and what I think is likely as far as that happening and what I can really accomplish. Um, Chris says, knowing what you know now, if you could change something, anything in your past, specific to debt accumulation, what would it be and why? Um, that's really hard for me to answer because really almost all of the debt that I have accumulated was not particularly by choice. It was a matter of survival. Um, I think when people think about debt, they automatically jump to, this person handled their money irresponsibly, or this person, um, went out and bought a bunch of stuff they didn't need. And that was never the case for me. I've actually pretty much always been extraordinarily frugal, and I guess like money aware. My student loans are a good example of this, where, I mean, yes, it's true, I didn't get to decide if I went to college. My parents forced me and then refused to pay and lied to me and told me that they were going to pay. And then when I got there, there was no money. So, like, I know you guys have heard that story before, and that's all true, but still, even despite all of that, my accumulation of student loan debt was a means of survival. I had to stay in college so that I had access to a food plan that I could charge to a Pell Grant or to a student loan. I lived in areas where it was literally impossible to get a job, and I had no one outside the area that could help me get out, and I had nowhere to turn. Same with credit cards. I don't have that much credit card debt, but um, that has been when I have not had enough money and something happened. Like sometimes it's food, sometimes it's a car repair, but they were things that were necessary to survive and move forward that I had to accumulate debt for. It wasn't over frivolous stuff, is what I'm trying to say. So, answering your question as far as what could I do, and you say knowing what I know now, um, if I could change something, what would it be and why? Well, knowing what I know now, which of course is impossible, but if I went back, there's a few things. Um, I may have decided not to go to college at all, because I never really got to sit down and make the decision about whether I went or whether I didn't go. Um, or maybe I would have waited uh, and not gone right away, or figured out what I wanted to do first. But then, like I just said, I don't know how I would have survived or supported myself if I didn't go to college. Um, then maybe where I went to college. Um, my grandmother had some idea of me going to a college in Kentucky called Berea College, where they made you work a full time job that they gave you, and like tuition and room and board was free because of that. I don't like that idea, and I don't like that somebody picked out where I was going to go to college and that sort of thing. And I think that's why I was most um, opposed to it, because it was being forced on me without any input from me. But that maybe could have been a realistic option. Um, and let's see where. Sorry, I'm getting behind the chat, guys, but I'm trying to give you like in-depth answers. Um, I mean, and I guess all my answers are related to college, but that's because that's where almost all of my debt came from. Um, it's hard to say. Um, I think if you could change anything or something, anything in your past specific to debt accumulation, what would it be and why? Honestly, if anything, and I've thought this for quite a number of years, this is going to surprise you guys, but I actually wish I would have taken out more student loan debt. And the reason that I say that is these private loans that I got were pretty much unregulated. you could take out as much as you wanted, as much as you requested they would give you. And they never did any kind of follow-up to find out what you did with the money. They were supposed to be for educational expenses, but they didn't have to be. And if I had known what I know now, I probably would have taken out, and we're talking like 2005, 2007, even during the housing crisis. Maybe I could have taken out $100,000 additional in student loans, bought a house, not paid rent for the last 13 years or so, um, turned it into an Airbnb, house hacked. Like, maybe I should have taken out way more student loans and bought an asset with it. Especially seeing as how what I really want to do is own and manage rental properties. I could have just done it that way, and I'd be doing it now. And then once I had one, I'm smart enough with money in business that I can bring in the funds to buy additional properties. So that's not something I knew at the time, but I definitely could have made that work. Okay, so We Who Are About to Die Salute You says, I think you had stated that the previous Mondays before January's Monday just worked out better for you. The previous Mondays before January's Monday just worked out better for you. Well, if I did say that, what I was referring to is I usually take Mondays and Tuesdays off. Sunday is technically a work day for me, but maybe that's what I was thinking. I don't know. AJ says, haha, I just thought of the time you said you creeped out Pauly Shore. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, I have a video on my channel where I ran into Pauly Shore, and I was completely awkward with him, and ran into him in like a dark alley. So yeah, you should watch that. I think it's called something like I Met Pauly Shore and Creeped Him Out. I also that night I listened to Cisco do the Thong Song, and let's see, Bone Thugs and Harmony were there, and I did get very close to them, like they were standing right beside me. And who else was it? There was some other like big name there. Some band, I don't remember. But anyway, that was a completely random, unplanned, weird night in Columbus. Max says, yes, sir. Haven't been in every live stream, but been watching your videos since 2015. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, so I've had this channel since 2014. 2015 is kind of when I made that video about my student loan debt, and then people started coming here and subscribing because of that video, I think. I did have a channel before this, but I didn't make videos hardly very often. And the only video that really went viral from that channel was my DNA results from Ancestry. That video is also on this channel. I just re-uploaded it. So yeah, that's actually how I got into YouTube, was that DNA video and seeing how that took off, and well, I was making a lot of money from it. We Who Are About to Die Salute You says BP Mart. Named, wow. I think it is one of those weird gas marts that does not seem like it is affiliated. Okay, so we have BP, but we don't have a BP Mart. I don't know. I'll have to look around and see where I can find the peeps. We Were About to Die Salute You. I have had that happen over the last month. I had to get a check engine light checked, and turns out it has nothing to do with engine maintenance. $500. If you go to AutoZone, I think it is. Maybe Advanced does it too. They'll run the code thing on it, and like they'll tell you they'll give you the code that it reads out, and then you can Google that and figure out what it is. My check engine light is on too. it's been on for like a year, but it goes on and off, so it must not be important. I haven't gone to get it checked, but I know I can't afford to fix it, whatever it is. But the thing is, it comes on when I either hit a big bump on the highway or sometimes when I'm hitting the brakes. So I think it has something to do with the brakes rather than the engine. I don't know. Um, let's see. So We Who Are About to Die Salute You says, just yesterday it went, I went, I went it for a shaky steering wheel when slowing down from 55, warped rotors, another $500. Yeah, mine doesn't do that, but it is something to do with either slowing down or braking. And what's really bizarre about it is I do so much driving between here and Columbus, but there are certain spots in the highway where not every time, but almost every time, if the check engine light's going to come on, it comes on there. And I've noticed that every one of them is very slightly going downhill. I have no idea what would be making it do that. Berea, Kentucky, I know that. Yeah, so that was the other thing too, is like we had no connection to Kentucky at all. Um, I don't even know how my grandmother found out about this place. Um, but I wasn't happy that she was just telling me that I had to, I had to go work full time um, through college. That wasn't an option. Uh, I had picked a lot of different colleges that I liked that were out of state that I was just told absolutely not. You have to go somewhere local. And then I'm being told, no, you have to go to this place that's like not local at all and is in a state I've never even been to. Um, it, I think it was just about control, which was my problem with the place. Let's see. So EKU pays your textbooks. I think they started it after COVID. We have one here, University of Akron, which is, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 hours from me here. Um, when I was in high school, they would give you a free laptop if you came there. I heard a few years ago they were doing like a free iPad. I don't know what they do now, but they've been continuously doing this for a large number of years. That that if you um, go there, you get some big expensive tech thing for free. Max says, did you ever evict someone in property management? Describe the experience if you have. I have. So the only property that I remember that we ever went completely through the process beyond going to try to collect the money on posting a notice on their door, that kind of thing, but like actually filing for eviction, that was when I worked at the estates at New Albany. This is 2015 in Columbus. We had 428 apartments up there. And it seemed like every month there was like one. Not the same one, but just like there would always be like one person who didn't pay the rent. And we would at least have to post the notice and usually sometimes file it. Although once you file it, you can like unfile it if they pay before going to court. Let's see, you said describe the experience. So there was one guy, there was two that we really kind of saw through. That number one, there was one guy that I went and I sat with him in his living room and I told him like the process and what my rules were. Like, I'm like, hey, like, there's no way that I can get around filing this. Like, I have to file this. And we were civil to each other. And I told him, like, this is what I can do. Like, this is my job. I do have to do this. But, like, here's what you can do. After I file, you can still pay it. We can drop it. I do think he eventually left, but he might have left before it actually went to court. And then there was another one, which I talked about in my video. It was one of my older videos. I think it was the one called I Quit My Job. And, God, it was that boss. It was the job where I worked like 70 hours a week, and she took credit for everything. Um, anyway, we had to evict a business. Somebody had their apartment leased in their business name, and I filed against him because, she told me to, and then she blamed me like it was my fault that his business credit was going to be hurt because of, like, and I'm like, well, yeah, but like he should have paid his rent. Like, he didn't pay his rent. He didn't, like, or I think he'd accepted half of his. I don't know. He paid like half of it, but not the other half. And then, like, he didn't respond to anything when I tried to contact him. And then my manager told me to file the eviction, and then got mad at me and told me I was ruining his business credit and ruining the lawyer's reputation, because we were going to lose the case because she forgot about the hearing and didn't show up. That place was awful. That's why I quit. That was the first job I ever walked out of. I've done that twice now, but yeah. That was back when I was trying to be more professional, but that place was so terrible that it did not deserve professionalism. So I had to walk out of there for my own sanity and self-respect. Case says, read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I did read it. I read it spring semester 2010, and that was what changed. I mean, I was already using Mint at that time to track my finances. I'd already been working on my credit score, and I had a credit card to build credit. So I was already kind of interested in money. But I read the book, and that's what changed my thinking about money. Because I grew up poor, so I thought about money like poor people. And that did change the way that I think about stuff. Max says, ever heard of trap training contracts where companies charge you thousands of dollars for quitting jobs, claiming it's reimbursement for training you? Yeah, I have. And I actually had one of those jobs. I can't remember what job it was. It was years ago, whatever it was, but I specifically remember that it was in my contract or like my offer letter or whatever. And I couldn't remember how long you had to stay in order to not pay that. And I remember during my exit interview, me asking them about it, and then HR just claiming they had no idea what I was talking about. So I ended up not having to pay it, but more so just because I don't know. They claimed that wasn't a thing, and it definitely was. But that's the only reason I ended up not having to pay that. Although I was there for a year and 7 months for that job, I think, if I'm thinking of the right job. So maybe I wouldn't have had to pay anyway because I did stay longer. We Who Are About to Die Salute You says, same here. My check engine light goes on and off. Yeah, mine's been doing it since, I think it was last summer. And I've been meaning to get it checked out, but the thing is, I haven't been going to the Subaru dealership to get my oil changes because they would just check it out for me anyhow. I've been going to Walmart because it's cheaper. It's like not all that much cheaper. It's like $25 cheaper. So here eventually I'm going to have to get So that's what I'm gonna have to figure out. Like what the light is. Um, as I get my life a little bit more together, I'll go up and get my next oil change or the one after that. Um, um, I will go ahead and get Subaru to diagnose everything, tell me what's going on. If it's anything like my oil pressure light, it's just a sensor. My oil pressure light has been on for over a year now. Um, and there's nothing wrong with the car. It has oil in it. Uh, it's just the sensor, and it goes on and off randomly. Um, but I do check the oil every few days. I did actually develop an oil leak within the last month. I can tell from the concrete pad that I park on. So I'm kind of watching the oil closely, but as long as I keep checking it and I keep adding oil, it'll be fine. Um, car has 202,000 miles on it now. So we're getting up there. But I mean, it runs fine. It gets me where I need to go. It looks terrible, but you know, it's paid off, so I'm not gonna complain. Okay, We Were About to Die Salute You says student loan forgiveness. I got my 10,000. Tuesday is when there is some talk going down. I mean, maybe I did. I don't. Are you talking about? Okay, so you got your 10,000 from like the new student loan thing. Like, do you see that reflected in your balances right now? Because I remember my situation was that I didn't apply for it, and they said apply by a certain date, but before that date, it was challenged in court, and they said they were pausing it. But then I got an email saying that it was like, congratulations or whatever, you're getting your 20,000. Um, and I was like, okay, cool. I didn't apply, but I guess that's cool. I guess you guys had my information. I didn't know you were doing that. Um, so I'll have to look into that because I see your new comment here. Yes, Great Lakes put 10,000 back on the tab. Well, I'll have to log in today and check. So man, this is a great month if that's the case. Because here's the deal. So I have Great Lakes for my federal loans as well. So I will have to log in and see, and then I can. It's synced to Mint, so it should actually see a $20,000 jump in my net worth too. Um, I mean, and eventually, guys, I do plan on getting back to doing the monthly reviews. I'm just not on a place right now where I have the time or the energy to be able to do that. But eventually, we'll get back there so you see the progress in the net worth every month. Um, but at least I'll be able to check that today and see if that's the case. Did you um, did you get an email about that? Like, like did you just happen to notice, or did they send you something? AO says, love your channel. Bummer the production of content has gone down. Been a follower for years now, so I get how much life has gotten in the way, but wish there was more to watch. Yeah, I really struggle with making content because neighbors are banging on the walls. I really struggle with making content because really primarily for two reasons. I'm not financially stable anymore, and because of that, I have to work a whole lot in order to, well, just get by, but also to try to get caught up on things. Um, and then on top of that, I have to, um, well, basically, if anything happens, like people have brought a lot of problems into my life, and like the last 2 years have been bad, like especially bad. And the things I have to deal with, like, I don't know, you said you've been watching, so like the court stuff, for example, that takes up a lot of my time. So with that, yeah, it definitely makes it extremely difficult for me to make any content. That's why I make sure I do the monthly live streams, is just so that whether you're watching live or you watch it back later, at least I'm putting something out there, and I'm simultaneously updating you guys on like what is going on in my life. Um, so the plan, of course, is to get back to regularly produced content and to continue making the channel better. But that is going to be hard until I'm making more money, and um, the lawsuit is going to be a something that I have to pour a lot of time into, and it'll take time away from the time I would have to make videos. We Who Are About to Die, you said, Salute You says, Great Lakes put 10,000 back on the tab. You have to make payments in August if the Supreme Court allows it. It's not forgiven yet. I just asked them to give me what I paid in October. The talk is going down on Tuesday. The result of the ruling will come in June of this year. Okay. So wait, you said Great Lakes put 10,000 back on the tab, but then you says it's not forgiven yet. So did they just change your balance then on Great Lakes, or but they're saying that you still technically owe it because of the lawsuits? And then yeah, I know the Supreme Court usually makes their decisions in June, so everyone's expecting it then. AO says, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel where you are releasing videos like you used to, especially the financial side? Yeah, I am doing that. Like, that's for certain that that's going to happen. I see. This is kind of hard to say. Like, as far as seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, like I talked about earlier in the stream, I'm seeing that things are getting slightly better for me, but I don't know when that content's going to resume. My goal for March is to put up a video of my 2023 financial goals. But with the lack of time and with the lack of money, and therefore a lack of progress or even negative progress toward the financial stuff, it is hard for me to make that kind of content, even if I had the time. So what I'm trying to shoot for is within the year, hopefully sooner than later, I'm going to get back to doing the budget with me's at the beginning of the month and the budget reviews at the end of the month. Doing the twice a year check-ins with financial goals. And then as I'm doing more, like once I have more stuff paid off, and I'm able to actually do something with the money, like putting it towards something, I do plan to make those videos. So the thing that is holding me back, well, two things: one, money, and two, time. The first one, money, I think I've pretty much gotten figured out, because here for a few months, TaskRabbit has been absolutely dead, and that's my best money maker. But it's starting to pick up, and in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've started getting work again, and so I'm back to using DoorDash and Uber Eats and all those kinds of things as just a substitute and something that like is just additional, rather than relying on it for my only income. And of course, what I do on TaskRabbit is much more profitable anyway, so it helps out a lot. I'm shooting to get back doing TaskRabbit full-time again by April at the latest. So that means I'll be charging between $30 and $35 an hour full-time, so I'll have a good amount of money coming in. And even with my expenses of commuting an hour to 2 hours each way to do those jobs, I'll still be making a pretty good profit. Once that's there, then the second issue is time. And I think that will get better, but I don't know to what extent it's going to get better or when. So I can't tell you those videos are going to come in like June or if it's going to be by like the end of the year, because I am dealing with a lawsuit and that takes a lot of my time. I don't have an attorney, so I have to write everything myself and I have to learn everything myself. So that really takes a long time. Like to write like one motion, if it's not one that I've written before and already learned the background behind, I might have to take 2 or 3 days off work and literally spend all day, every day researching it, writing it, and then I have to request a hearing for each one of them. So that's a trip to West Virginia plus a day in court. There's a lot that goes into it. And this year I'm going to be fighting through that. Our trial, if it gets to trial, is February 2024. So at that point, that's when that'll be over, assuming that she doesn't appeal, which is a possibility. But yeah, that's kind of because I'm dealing with, we're in the discovery phase right now, and then later in the year we might move into another phase, and if not, then I'll just be preparing for trial. So I know it's going to take a lot of my time, and maybe it's not going to take as much as I'm thinking it will, but I want to just kind of be cautious and say that that's going to be a lot of my time that's going to be taken up by that. But if I can make it happen, and making enough money that helps to make that a possibility, I will be going back to the monthly videos about finances, and probably some other topics too. We've talked about making videos about me cleaning out the storage unit, and maybe doing some vlog style videos of my day-to-day, like when I'm doing TaskRabbit and when I'm doing DoorDash, that sort of thing. And I want to do that stuff. It's just, I'm so like, there's just no time. That's what I'm really struggling with right now. We Who Are About to Die Salute You says, yeah, they give you the 10,000, but put it back on the balance. You know what? I didn't even notice that. Like, I did not notice that my balance changed. It probably did, and I just wasn't even paying attention. So what you're saying then is, like, basically they changed it and took the 10,000 away, and then they added it back. And then you said from there it gets forgiven if the case goes through. For people already with balances, you have to apply for the $10,000 to $20,000 forgiveness. Yeah, I gotta find out what I need to do with that. Because like I said, I didn't apply, and then they told me that my application was approved. So I gotta find out if I need to do that or not. All right, I got to the bottom of the comments. I'm gonna get a refill. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for sticking around. All right, so let's see what the comments say here. You who are about to die salute you says, I forgot that I had paid $10,000 in October of 2020. You will just be getting a forgiveness if the win sides with us. Oh, okay. So I vaguely remember that. So there was that thing of if you made payments during COVID, then you would get the payment back if you requested it. So I think that's what you're talking about. For me, it's just going to be, I'll get something if, yeah, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that part because I didn't pay anything during COVID. I was making the minimums up until that whole pause started back in 2020. I think my payment was around $65 a month, and that covered both of my loans. Yeah, so they shut the application down. So I can't just apply right now. But I mean, I guess I'll just have to pay attention and see if they reopen it. Also, I meant to say this earlier. This was supposed to be my video for March, since I'm doing my financial goals in March. This will be the April video, or maybe, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but maybe I can do 2 videos in March. But as of a few days ago, and there was a little bit of confusion about this, so I've kind of told myself the end of this month, just to be sure, is the actual date of this. But I will not have to pay any of my AES loans. So there's a couple of videos where I talk about this, but my student loans were divided up with 3 companies: Great Lakes, Navient, and AES. And when I graduated college, I couldn't make payments toward any of them. I had no money. The federal loans, they were cool and they worked with me. And one, that was Great Lakes. They also held one of my they held one of my federal loans, but it wasn't private. But they worked with me. And Navient was a pain in the ass, but after a while they worked with me. AES, nah. They were horrible. And because of that, I paid first the companies that worked with me, and I ended up defaulting on all 3 of my AES loans. And over the years, they tried to collect on them. They sued me twice, and then for some reason dropped their own case. I don't know what happened with that. And then I didn't hear from them for years after that. So, so basically, the deal was that when I defaulted on those loans, they would not contact me, like the collection agencies would not contact me to collect on them. They would only go to my mom, who was my co-signer. I guess because I was like actively fighting against them and saying like, I don't even know who you are, random collection agency, like prove to me that I should pay this. And then they would never respond. And my mom was just like, she would pay anything to anyone who called her and asked her. So I could not get her to stop making payments. And every time she did, it restarted the statute of limitations. So finally, well, mostly because mom's in a nursing home now, but they, it's been 7 years now that since the last payment was made, and yeah, I can't be sued over them now. So I will never have to pay those now. And whenever we get to the point of restarting the monthly budget reviews, I will go in with you guys in those videos, and we'll actually take that off there. We'll take that $100,000 off the balance of debt, because I'll never have to pay it. They may still sue me, but if they do, all I have to do as a defense, bring up the statute of limitations that they're not legally entitled to the money. And I am going to make a video just directly on this subject, just kind of to announce it, also to kind of tell and remind people of the backstory about how this happened. I didn't even default on purpose, and then they were just completely incompetent in collecting it. So, I mean, they treated me and my mom so badly. I don't feel bad about it. I had every intention of paying, once I got the money, or even making small payments along the way, but they wouldn't do it. So we waited about the 7 years, and that's $100,000 off my balance. So yeah, so that's where that is. And that will be either a March or an April video. I'm really going to try and make that happen. But that's another win, I guess. It's another, you guys have been talking about like light at the end of the tunnel and like things looking up and stuff. That's another way that they have been doing that. Let's see here. AO, what do you see your retirement looking like? Do you always want to be in some business or retire to a beach? I don't really know exactly. I mean, I don't want to work forever, but a lot of my things that I want to set up for myself are very passive income. Like I mentioned, that what I want to do is own and manage rental properties. Well, whether I build my own property management company or I hire a property manager, either way, at some point after the beginning stages, it's not going to be me managing it, right? Like I'm getting profits from it, but somebody's managing it for me, and there's no reason for that to ever stop, because that's not like an actively working job. It's not like me saying, when I turn 70 or whatever, I'm just gonna sell off all the properties and then I have to go on Social Security. Like, it's not gonna be like that. So those are always gonna continue, and those are mostly pretty hands off for me. But also, I don't even know. I'm 37. So let's say in 33 years, if I can math, that's 70. Let's say in 33 years, YouTube is still a thing and still popular, and I still have a channel. Would I still make videos? Probably. Maybe not on a regular schedule, but yeah, I do think I would. So, if you're counting this as a job, like, I don't know that I'd ever stop that. I'm not going to work at Walmart when I'm 70 as a people greeter. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm not sure, because it's like some stuff sticks around forever, right? Like Facebook has been around since 2004, and it's still like hugely popular. But other stuff doesn't stay around that long, and there's some social media sites I liked that just vanished. Like I loved Foursquare. God, that was the biggest thing at my college and in my fraternity nationally was Foursquare. I mean, we were into that. And then it died in 2014. And, so some stuff doesn't. But if YouTube's around and it's still popular, then yeah. And guys, like when I have more time, I am going to branch off into different platforms. I primarily just don't use TikTok because that was the girl's thing. She got into it before I did, and she started making content that I didn't want to see. And I stayed off there to not come across it. And now I use it honestly like in the weirdest way because I don't use it socially at all. I go on there to look at videos of stuff like um, people like advice on cleaning stuff. When I go to the gym and I need to know how to do an exercise, like I'll watch that on there. And then of course people will share TikToks with me and I'll go and watch that. But like that's why I don't have a profile on there. Like I literally have a profile with no content, nothing filled out, just because I only use it to watch stuff. But yeah, so let's see here. I salute you says right. Chris says, if you were given the opportunity to mentor young people, 16 to 20 years old, what would be your most important message to them? If I had a choice, I would not mentor anyone. This is a big problem that I had with when I worked at the drug treatment center. I mean, I just don't think that I am somebody who has the credibility um, in like I just don't think that I have the credibility in that to whether it be crackheads or whether it be young people. I don't think that I should tell. I don't think I should be the person telling them what to do or how to do it or some big lesson that I've learned because I'm not successful enough in any area of life to have that credibility. Um, I think that is the only thing that I can be credible on is that I know my limitations and I know that it's kind of like where most people won't just say they don't know enough about a topic to not have an opinion on it. Um, it's kind of like that. Like I just have to be like, I'm not in a place to mentor anyone because I have so many of my own problems. Uh, I'm just not in a place because I guess I've mentioned this before, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but like in all my videos, I only talk about what I do with money. I don't tell other people what to do. That's a big difference between me and any other, uh, what do you want to call personal finance YouTuber, um, FinTuber? There used to be a name for it. I don't know, but somebody even asked me a couple years ago if I was going to fintech as a creator, and I'm just like, no. I don't fit in with the other ones because their channels are based on telling people what to do. I'm just telling you what I do, and you can follow my progress, but unless someone directly asks me, I'm not gonna do that. So I think my answer is the only thing I don't think I should be a mentor, and the only thing that I feel like I have the authority to convey is that I have the wisdom of knowing when to say that I don't know enough about something to have an opinion or to have credibility on something. AO says, if you get 2 in March, I'll sub to Patreon or whatever it's called. Hey, AO, I really appreciate that. Here's my thing. Okay, let me before you do that, let me tell you about Patreon. My Patreon is open still. Currently, I do not have any patrons. I have in the past, but when I think it was like fall of 2020, and I knew that almost all of 2021, I was going to have unlimited time to work on the channel, and I was planning on doing it full time. I did not feel I was ready to add things on that were going to have commitments to 24-hour early access or additional content or something like that. A lot of people in the channel really encouraged me to go ahead and make the Patreon. Even though I didn't feel ready, I did it. and I messed it up. Life happened, relationship problems happened. I got upset, and I couldn't focus on anything regarding the channel. And I wasn't even making content. So I don't blame people from, whatever it's called on Patreon, unpledging or whatever, but I can't promise you that. So, you know, if you want to support me in some way, that's awesome. I do appreciate it. But I don't want you to be disappointed by signing up for something to get something extra when I'm struggling to really make content at all. So, um, yeah, I mean, that's there. And if somebody wants that, that's awesome. But just, understand that I can't promise anything. We who are about to die, I salute you, says, check out Dave Ramsey's Borrowed Future documentary. Navient is the antagonist in there. You guys know how I feel about Dave Ramsey. I don't know that I could stand to watch through that. Honestly, Navient, they were terrible for years. And then they got to the point where they're just okay. And for years they've been just okay. I don't know what changed. But yeah, they were horrible to me. And then, like, I don't know. It seems like it was like they didn't believe me that I was poor, that I was just refusing to pay, and it took years to convince them. And then once they were convinced, they put me on all these different payment plans and lowered my interest rate and did all this other stuff. So I don't know. AO redacted a message, so I'm not sure what that was. We were about to die, salute you says, congrats. I know that was about the student loan thing. And then it says, Feature Man makes videos and he is 80. Yeah, so there are old people who have channels. I think that's a little bit of a different scenario because, like, they're 80 now, but what is going to happen by the time that, like, I'm that old is there's going to be people who have made content starting when YouTube was young, and they were young, and just made content continuously over the years. And of course, that'll be my situation is like, yeah, I started out on YouTube when I was like, 29? With this channel, 28, something like that. And then at 70, I'm still posting. And of course, I will have grown a big following by that point, but yeah. Robert says, did your defaulted loans cause any credit issues? Sort of, but not like you'd think. That's the big threat, right? Is that, like, if you default on a loan, it's just going to destroy you financially. And it did have an effect on my credit, but very little. So if that's something you're experiencing, I wouldn't sweat it too much. Essentially, the issues that it caused is that sometimes they reported it as a delinquent account. So I did have those missed payments, but I think it's after 150 days you default. So you really have 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. So you only have 5 missing payments reported before it's charged off. So you only have 5 missing payments that are going to count against you. And then they tried every time they would turn it over to a new bill collector, like a new company, they would try to put it on as a collections account. But then I would dispute it. And almost always it was taken off. Because they couldn't, like, prove it. Basically, they couldn't prove it was mine. Turns out later the reason for that is the company lost all the paperwork. I have a video on that. So that's why they were taking it off every time I challenged it, was because they were trying to prove it and then realized they couldn't. So I don't, it's hard for me to say if it changed my credit score at all, but it never hurt me as far as getting my car loan, because I got a car loan 2 years after I defaulted. It was never an issue. Um, they, yeah, I can't think of any way that it like directly affected me. Of course, it might have lowered my score, but I can't even say that. Um, because basically I just, what am I trying to say? What's the word? It's like the math word. I can't account for it with the numbers. There's a word for this. We use it in research methods all the time. I can't think of it. Anyway, there's a word, I'm thinking it starts with O, but it is basically, I can't produce evidence to prove that that particular thing had a particular effect on the numbers. Yeah. You guys know I have memory issues, so. We Who Are About to Die Salute You says Navient would work their employees and give them unrealistic times to deal with borrowers. They would fire them if they had taken longer to offer advice to the borrowers. Okay. No, that makes sense. Mostly they didn't even talk to me. That was one of the big issues. So I didn't really face that much. And I mean, I'm going to talk about this in the video where I kind of announce that like I've gotten rid of these student loans, but I cannot understand as a business, from like a business model, what AES's deal was. So hear this out. So you're a company and you offer private student loans, right? You do. So you're already in a field where you're offering loan money with no collateral, right? You give somebody this money. They don't have to start paying on it for a number of years because of the type of loan it is. But there's this agreement that they're going to pay this minimum payment at this interest rate for this number of years until it's paid off. But then you, as the company, once it comes time for them to start making payments, you refuse to take the payments, telling them that they have to pay the whole loan up front. Well, that's not how it works. That's not the contract that you made with this person. So the person tricks you for a while, since you won't let them pay by mailing a physical check and then cashing it. But then this person runs into financial difficulty and can't make the minimum payments, right? Like there's programs you're supposed to offer them to help with that, but you just refuse. And then in the meantime, you're calling them 10 or 20 times a day, calling their cosigner 10 or 20 times a day, harassing her, making her cry, calling, literally they would call, like there was a dude I used to hang out with in college that was friends with one of my neighbors, and at least 2 different times they contacted him trying to find me, and I'm like, and he would call me and be like, dude, what the hell's going on? Like they were just so invasive. And there was one time where they kept calling me at work, which they're not allowed to do, which, I mean, that's against the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. They were calling me at work, and then they wouldn't tell me who they were, but they were just like, give me the last 4 of your social security number. And I'm like, no, I don't know who the hell you are. And then they're like, well, we need to confirm if we're speaking to the right person. And I'm like, well, I don't care. I'm not giving you. And basically it was this loop where they kept saying like, well, we can't tell you who we are or what we're calling about until you confirm the last four of your social. And I'm like, well, you're just some random ass person calling my work and you've been told not to call here. I'm not going to do that. So anyway, my boss finally talked to them the next time they called and told them off. And then I filed a complaint with the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and it was constant. It was constant like that. And then they would get their lawyers to threaten me and said they had all this evidence, and then nothing would ever happen. And then they sued me, but they dropped the case themselves. It was just all bullshit. And so yeah, I mean, I I guess if I would have tried to just never pay anything and defaulted on purpose, that would have been successful. I just didn't do it on purpose. They wouldn't take the payments, and then when I had financial problems, they were the only company that wouldn't work with me. And now, not that I don't have financial problems, but I'm better off than I was. Um, the companies that did work with me, everything's paid current, because that was always my intention, was just to pay it. I knew I had to pay it. I expected to pay it when I took the loans out. It just doesn't make any sense that, like, you as a company could bungle this so badly in collecting it that you end up with nothing, plus all the money you spent hiring debt collectors and lawyers. So they actually lost money on me. Yeah, We Were About to Die Salute you says, shady. They're hoping you will pay it and then they will hide the evidence. And that's another thing too that I would have argued in court had I gone. Because once, the one time only, when I requested validation, they actually sent me something. They sent me a ledger, and there's an entry in there showing that they actually turned the loan in for insurance money because I defaulted. So they got all of the money paid by insurance. It was already paid in full. And then they were trying to go after me to get it paid a second time. They were trying to basically get paid double on the loan. So, yeah. All right. So, we've been on 80 minutes, a little over an hour. We're at the end of the comments. If anybody else has comments or questions, feel free to put them. While we have this little break, I am just going to give you guys a short update because I didn't really get to do it in the last video. And then if nobody has any comments after this, then that's good. We'll adjourn for the month. But I did want to give you guys an update of what's going on with all the legal stuff. Okay, so for those of you who've been following along, I've got two legal cases going on right now. The first is from where I had the restraining order against me last year and I appealed it. So it's been over a year now since the start of that process, and we are in the State Supreme Court of Appeals of West Virginia. That appeal matured on October 26th, I believe it was, and at any point past that date, the Supreme Court can rule on it. Now, I have not heard anything from them, and we are not on the docket for either February or March. That's how far they have the docket out. But we won't necessarily be on the docket because of the type of the case. It's considered confidential, so they may not even list it on there. That said, I have literally no idea when this is going to be ruled on. Some of the cases they're working on right now are from this year. Some of them are from 2018. So I have no idea. But what I will tell you is that the lawyers that I've talked to say that the longer that it takes them, the better chance that something's going to come of it. Because they're only going to almost certainly they're only going to issue a memorandum decision. And because they have been taking so long, it means that they might not, do just the memorandum decision, or they're at least going to address all of the points that I made, rather than just issue a thing saying like, you know, it's past any kind of deadline, we can't do anything. So that's good news. You know, it's annoying, but it's good news. Then there's the other side of it, that is the lawsuit. And where that is right now is that we are in the discovery phase. Basically, the way the lawsuits work is you file a complaint, they file an answer. After that, you go into the discovery phase where you get documents and each side answers questions to each other and that kind of thing. So we're in that process. I would say I'm about a third of the way through that process. I would not say that I've gotten a lot of cooperation on that, but you know, that doesn't hurt me any. I'll get it eventually. It just makes them look bad. And what I am expecting is that I'll probably be done with getting everything that I need by mid-year, and then the entire second half of the year is just going to be me preparing for trial. And trial is set for February of 2024. So it's not a whole lot of an update, I know, but very slowly we're moving through that process. I'm collecting everything I need. And then once it's all collected, it'll just be preparing all that to go forward with trial. And I have 6 to 8 months to be able to dedicate to that. So yeah, not a whole lot to say right now. But I'll just give you guys an update on that every month to let you know. So that said, we still have a ton of people on, but I don't see any more comments. I've given you the update about court. The only other update I can give you is that as far as making videos, I'm very much hoping that this coming week, I've got some stuff I got to do tonight for court and tomorrow for court, but I'm maybe going to be able to do something Tuesday, and I'm taking Wednesday off, so I should be able to film the video then. I'm really wanting to do the 2023 financial goals. Hopefully have that out sometime early-ish in March. And then I need to make that video about the whole $100,000 in loans disappearing, which March or potentially April, that'll go up. So that's all I can really promise for now. But that's what's coming on the horizon. And in the meantime, it looks like work is picking up for me. The more profitable work, that'll make my life easier. And then from there on, I keep moving forward with the court stuff. And that's just kind of a wait and see what happens with that. But that's where things are. Again, I don't see any more comments. So if you guys have any questions for me, you can save them for next live stream next month, or you can put them in the comments of this video once it's re-uploaded. Usually takes about an hour after the stream ends. So yeah, just let me know about that. And look forward to at least one video coming out from me, other than the live stream later this month. And then I'll check back in with you guys at the end of March when we do the live stream then.